Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes, the podcast where we explore the world one destination at a time.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Krystle.
As travel agents with fantastical vacations, we are here to share our passion for travel and help you turn your wanderlust into reality.
From hidden gems to bucket list adventures, join us as we dive into the sights, sounds, and stories of our favorite destinations.
So grab your passport, pack your bags, and let's embark on this journey together. Welcome to episode 16 of Wanderlust and Wishes. Today, we are going to start a 3-part series on Walt Disney World resort categories. Today, we're going to start with value resorts, go through each one of them and provide some details. And then towards the end of the episode, we're going to rank our favorite. But first, let's get into a little bit of news.
First thing, we have Disney announced that a new live production, the Disney Villain Show, is coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios. This is going to replace the Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy. I have mixed feelings about this, but I know so many are excited for the villains. So this will be at the end of the street next to the Hollywood Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster.
We've never experienced the Racing Academy, so I don't really have feelings one way or the other about it, but I'm sure those that have littles, this is going to be a bit of a hit for you.
Yeah, just because it was the only place that you could see Lightning in the park. So hopefully they bring back something similar when they put him over in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
It's not like the coolest show, but it was a good show for littles.
Yeah, and it was something, like you said, that had Lightning McQueen in it. And if you have littles that like the Cars series, this was a good option for them.
Next, on September 9th, Tron will move from a virtual queue to a typical standby queue, and then you will still have the option to purchase the Lightning Lane single pass. I think this is a good move. Tron has not been hard to get on the virtual queue, and I think they're having issues having so many in the same park.
Yeah, and I think too, I think the virtual queue, people misunderstand that by getting into the virtual queue, that they're going to be able to walk on. And that's not necessarily true. And having a true standby queue will show you, like, the wait is 2 hours. Do you want to wait 2 hours? And you don't have that with the virtual queue. You have no idea how long it's going to take you to wait.
I really hate that about virtual queues, where it's just like, your time is called, the line is here. You've never been here before. You don't know if you're waiting 20 minutes. You don't know if you're waiting 3 hours.
Yeah. And sometimes the cast members will say, if you're at a certain point, it's about an hour and a half from this point, but they don't know. I mean, they're giving their best guess, at that point. So yeah, I'm very glad that they're transitioning for sure.
Next item, Blizzard Beach will reopen on November 4th. Additionally, Disney is offering a water park seasonal pass for $79 plus tax. And this pass will give guests unlimited visits to the water parks through May 23rd, 2025. So usually when they open one, they close the other one like that same week. So Typhoon Lagoon will probably close November 3rd.
Yeah.
They usually but especially during the winter, they don't like to keep two open.
Right. But for that pass, you'll get unlimited visits at Typhoon Lagoon until it closes in November. And then from then, Blizzard Beach until May, or if they happen to reopen Typhoon Lagoon, you'll also be able to access it as well.
If you live local, that's a good.
I know. That is a really good price. It's an awesome price. So to jump into today's content, we want to go through Disney World's value resorts. The name sounds like, the value resorts offer a more budget-friendly option while still giving you the ability to stay in the Disney bubble.
So really quick, let's talk about the perks of staying on site. We have early entry into the parks. We have the big one right now is you get to choose your Lightning Lane selection 7 days prior instead of 3 days prior if you're staying off-site. Free transportation, free parking. Am I missing any big ones?
you get entry into the putt putt or the mini golf.
Oh, yes. I always forget about that. If you get a package through us, you can get a nice little free putt putt. We'll have to talk about that like in depth more sometime.
Yeah. A lot of people I don't think realize that they get that, even though it is included in all the information that's sent. They just you don't always see it.
Your
So
magical extras. And I have had to ask for it.
yeah, sometimes you do have to ask for those things. It's like they
Your
have
luggage
luggage
tags.
tags. Luggage tags have been like this whole thing for some reason. They stopped sending them. They used to send them to you in the mail before your trip, and now it's hit or miss. Sometimes you get them, and sometimes you have to ask for them when you check in. But yeah, those are, I mean, I think those main four items that Krystle covered, those really make a big difference. And, staying in the bubble can make a huge difference in your day because if you want to go early in the morning and rope drop and leave for a little bit during the middle of the day and come back for later on, it's really, really difficult to do that if you're not staying on site from a time standpoint, from logistics standpoint. It just takes longer to get where you're going and to get through traffic and all of that stuff. So it is a big perk to be on site for sure.
And I will say, I've researched a lot of the offsite hotels and specifically at Disney World, a lot of the ones like at Disney Springs, they will say that they have transportation to the parks. But if you call and really ask what their schedule is, it's like twice in the morning, like at 10 and again at 11. And then they pick up at like at 5 and at 6.
Yeah.
So you can't make it early. You can't stay late. Some of them you have to pre-schedule. It's just not continuous or reliable like the Disney transportation.
I mean, even though, people often complain about the bus transportation, it comes every probably like 15-ish minutes. You know that it's coming and you can't count on that with some of the ones that are off property. So to start looking at the resorts, the Disney All-Star resorts. So there's actually 3 resorts within this All-Star category. They have Disney All-Star Sports Resort, Disney All-Star Music Resort, and then Disney's All-Star Movies Resort. Those are right next to the ESPN complex, closer to Animal Kingdom, kind of on that side. Then you have Disney's Pop Century Resort and Disney's Art of Animation Resort. And those resorts are kind of like right next to each other. They're still in that area where in the same area as All Star, but they're just a little bit closer to Hollywood Studios than Animal Kingdom.
Here on the Skyliner.
Yes, they are, which is a huge, huge, huge benefit for both of those resorts. So, do you want to go through kind of just a general overview of value resorts, not specifics for each one, but just in general, the way they work?
Yes. So, like Julie said, these are the most affordable in price. So, they're very popular among young families, especially the All Stars are very popular. Like when you have your groups, like your teams, your cheer teams, your sports teams, your band groups.
Yeah.
These all have very over the top, larger than life theming, very colorful.
Very, very colorful.
We'll talk through it when we get to each one, but they're all a little bit different. Then we also have, like we said, the transportation. All of these have bus transportation, and then Pop and Art both have the Skyliner. These all include pools, multiple pools, but none of them have a slide. The values do not have slides. You don't get slides until you move to the moderate. These all have on-site dining, but it's more kind of like cafeteria, quick service dining option, like food courts.
Yes, call it a food court for sure.
Yes, definitely food court. There are not any sit-down dining options. They each have recreational activities, so like playgrounds, movie nights at the pool. Most of these have an arcade. They all have like stuff going on all day, like a craft or a something fun for the kids.
Yeah. I would say that like that particular benefit of having activities for the kids during the day, that's something that you're going to get at all of the resorts, regardless of whether it's deluxe, moderate, or value. You're going to still get that great experience with the activities and the movies that they play on the lawn. That's really fun to do. They all do those kinds of things.
Yes. And then just a couple of more unique selling points. They're all family friendly. Obviously, it's Disney World. Everything is family friendly, but definitely at the value resorts, you don't feel like you're going to walk in and break something. Like if I walk in the Grand Floridian, I'm like, I feel like I'm fragile, like things are fragile and I don't want my kids to like run rampant, but you don't have to worry about that with values.
Yeah,
And a lot of them have like a nostalgic vibe,
definitely.
just like with the different characters, and they've been around a long time. So if you've been going to Disney World for a while, you could have stayed at these when you were younger. And then, like we said, they're all conveniently located in the bubble. Anything else?
No, I think that covers most of it, and we can kind of dive into the individual resorts and their specific features. So first, Disney's All-Star Resorts, as we mentioned, they are all located in the area that's next to the ESPN complex. Is it Wide World of Sports? I think that's what it's called. And if you've ever done a Run Disney event, or if you've ever, maybe you've gone with your kids to, on a band trip or some type of sports event, that complex is where you go to do the teams events and also to pick up your packet for Run Disney and those kinds of things. It's a big, huge complex. And those three resorts are right there next to that, which is why it makes it so convenient for sports teams to stay there, on top of the fact that it's very budget friendly.
I would say that the three All Stars are probably the most budget friendly. We were just kind of playing with a sample quote for May. And just as a quick overview, Disney's All Star Music and All Star Sports are running about $170 a night. All Star Movies is about 210, Pop Century 220, and Art of Animation is 270. So we'll talk about that more, but that just kind of gives you like a quick kind of scale of where they're kind of all pricing against each other.
And those are their standard rooms. There are suites, family suites at All Star Music Resort. And also, we'll talk about Art of Animation as well. So, those will obviously the pricing will be a little bit different for those. But as Krystle said, you can kind of get an idea of it's almost like, your tier of value resorts. And you can see in that pricing, you're going to get a little bit more with, generally, if you pay more, you get a little bit more. So just there's that. All of the All-Star resorts, the transportation is bus only. And so bus to the four theme parks and also to Disney Springs. I believe they share the same bus. So if you're at any of the All-Star resorts, you're not going to have your own individual bus per resort. It's going to make its rounds through all three of those resorts, which sometimes can take a little bit. So you may want to keep that in mind as well. But each of them are going to have their own focus. So All-Star Sports, they have, obviously it's focused on sports, including football, basketball, baseball, and tennis. And their buildings are themed around that. They also have a pool that is shaped like a football. They have a separate children's pool. And then they also have a food court that's called End Zone Food Court. So again, the sports theming there.
Yes. The next one we have is All Star Music. Like it says, this celebrates the different genres of music. So you have like jazz, rock, country, Broadway. So like outside the country building, there's like giant cowboy boots. This also offers pools. There's like a piano shaped pool, children's pool, the intermission food court. And then this one also will have your standard rooms and your family suites that can accommodate larger groups.
The suites are basically like putting two standard rooms together and then having a kitchen or kind of kitchenette in the middle. is the best way that I can describe those.
So you'll find 2 full-size bathrooms. They will have like a full-size fridge. This is one of the only places on property you can find like a big
Mhm.
full fridge.
Mhm.
And you can sleep 6 adults.
And the next resort is All Star Movies. I think for most people, this one is the favorite of the 3 because it has the different buildings and the different characters that you can see. It has a gigantic Woody from Toy Story. It has the huge Dalmatians from 101 Dalmatians. And I think people just, they resonate with those characters. And so they just love that. Again, they have standard rooms that we just talked about with movie themed decor. They accommodate up to 4 guests. They have a Fantasia themed pool. They also have a separate children's pool and then a world premiere food court that is their quick service dining option. Some of the things that they share, they're all, like we talked about, they're all going to have their own food court. They're going to all have a gift shop, and that's pretty standard to any of the Disney resorts. They're each going to have the recreational activities. Again, they have that family feel with budget friendly pricing for everyone. Probably one of the biggest tips that we can offer from this particular set of resorts. I know a lot of people really love these resorts because of the pricing, and this gives them the opportunity to stay on site in the bubble because the pricing is the same or sometimes even less expensive than some of the offsite hotels that are in the area. But just make sure that if you decide to look at this particular set of resorts, make sure that you also check to see if there is any type of event going on, because as we've mentioned, there are lots of youth sports that happen, especially in the spring. And if you are there at the same time, you're going to be there with 8 million other tiny people
So many
at the
people.
same time. There's a lot. It's a lot. And it can be, it can be loud and, it can be chaotic because of the amount of children that are in that space. You obviously want to be able to go back to your resort and relax for a little bit. Or if you have real, littles that still take naps, you may want to go back and try to get a nap in. And that those kinds of things may be a little bit more difficult if you're staying at All Stars when there are a lot of other, when there's a sports team or a band or something like that going on. It's funny because a lot of times every once in a while, we'll have an agent that will post in our Facebook group and they're like, what is going on? I've looked for, X amount of weeks in this time frame and I can't find anything at All Star. Like, is it really sold out? Is that for real? Also, it's already sold out. And this can be like a year in advance, like basically as soon as pricing drops for the following year. And it's usually because there's an event. And yes, it is completely booked up. So that's just as an FYI for that particular resort. And I also would say the bus transportation, it's still free Disney transportation. However, if you have a resort situation where the bus is shared amongst multiple resorts, you kind of have the same situation with one of the moderate resorts with Port Orleans. They share a bus and it goes to all the different bus stops within both resorts. Same thing here. It might take a bit to get to where you're going, depending on where you are on the stop.
Uh,
Any thoughts from you on?
oh yeah, I will share them. I'll share them later. All
Okay.
right. Let's go over to Disney's Pop Century Resort. Pop Century is also a value, as we're talking about, and it celebrates the cultural trends and pop culture from the 50s through the 90s. So each kind of like building location is
Mhm.
a different decade.
Yeah.
So just quickly, like there's the 50s, which is like classic cars and hula hoops. 60s, you're going to have like peace signs, surfboards. 70s, you have like a larger than life foosball table. The 80s, you're going to have giant Rubik's cubes, cassette tapes. 90s, iconic giant toy blocks, computer graphics, like the tech boom. And it's very fun to like walk around, especially when my kids are like, what is a Rubik's cube? These are all, every room at Pop Century is a standard 4-person room. And these are all, I guess, all of the rooms we've talked about so far, all of the All Stars and All Pop, they are all accessible like an outside door. They don't have interior hallways. So if that's something that is on your list, just be aware of that. Let's see, pools. They have the hippy dippy pool. They have like fun little flower sprayer things. There is the Everything Pop Shopping and Dining Center, which is your food court. You have your recreational activities. You have your Petals pool bar. I know is very popular right there by the pool. Transportation. So this is where we're going to rank these, but just know I would rather pay a little bit more if I don't have to deal with a bus every single day, especially with littles and strollers. Because if you are on a bus, you have to break down your stroller. If you have a front, back, or a single stroller, you can roll it right onto the Skyliner. So for me, that's worth the extra $20 a night to stay at Pop Century.
Yeah, totally agree. It also is really, really close to Art of Animation. So if you want to go look, you want to walk around and see the different characters at Art of Animation, you can easily walk right across there's a path that basically is like right across, goes right by the Skyliner to the other side. And if you wanted to try, the different food court at Art of Animation, you can walk over there and eat dinner there one night, So I think that's neat that they're so close together. And
I will say with these ones, they do not share a bus. But if you're somewhere late at night and you come rolling upon the Art of Animation bus, getting ready to leave, and there's no Pop Century bus in sight, hop on the Art of Animation bus.
Because it's not that far of a walk.
Yes, and get off and you can just walk straight through over to your room. Yes, especially when it's like pouring rain. We've done that before. It was easier just to hop on the Art of Animation bus. And then we hung out and ate at the food court at Art of Animation, just so it's, I don't know, something different. Stay out of the rain. We weren't standing and waiting for another 20 minutes for the Pop Century bus from Disney Springs.
This is my parents' favorite resort. They just love it. And they've been there so many times that I don't even have to ask them. I know exactly what they want. They want the preferred room. They request building 5 and between rooms 5142 and 5151. Like that's their standard. Like that's where they're going to stay because that building is right in the middle. So it's next to the way that the resort is laid out. It's steps away from the main lobby where you can get food, and it's also steps away from the Skyliner. And so they know because they've been there so many times, that's the best place to stay. That's the best building to stay in. It's right next to the pool or right next to the main pool. And
there's a laundry right there.
Yeah.
That's a good location. Preferred rooms do cost a couple dollars more a night, but these are all very spread out. And you can, if you're staying at the very tip top, it can be a bit of a hike, especially late at night after you've walked 10 miles in the parks.
You don't want to walk another 10 to 15 minutes once you get off the bus or off the Skyliner.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that definitely makes a difference. And things that experienced travel agents know to help you with. Okay, so drum roll, please. The next resort is Disney's Art of Animation. It is in that same area, as Krystle said, that Pop and Art are right next to each other. They are closer to the Hollywood Studios area of Disney World. And this one's theme is all about, as it says, all about animation. It's all about classic Disney and Pixar films. So you have Finding Nemo, you have The Lion King, you have Cars, and you have The Little Mermaid. It is larger than life characters. We actually stayed here for our first trip to Disney World, and I took a picture of Ursula. She's obviously in the Little Mermaid section, and I posted the picture. And one of my best friends was like, "That's a lot of black paint," because she's gigantic.
She is. She's ginormous.
So yeah, it's a super fun resort though. The standard accommodation or standard kind of 2 queen beds, sleeps up to 4 adults. That room is a Little Mermaid. And that building is going to be, just as an FYI, that's the farthest away from transportation and from the lobby and like the food court and everything. So just as an FYI, the other buildings, there are 3 other buildings that are themed around Finding Nemo, The Lion King, and Cars, and those are all family suites. And the family suites can accommodate up to 6 guests. They have a separate bedroom. So basically, if you're there with your littles, you as parents, you can shut the door for if you just need to shut the door for a minute. You have that ability. You also have an ensuite bathroom, and then there's a second bathroom, which is awesome. And it has a tub. So the second bathroom has a tub, which is also awesome when you have littles. And it has a kitchenette, which is very nice. It has I believe it has a small fridge and a microwave, and it has a sink. So that's really helpful if you need to, make breakfast in the room, or if you wanted to bring back leftovers from your dinner and things like that. It's very nice to have that there. They have the largest pool on property. It's called the Big Blue Pool, and it also has a poolside bar there. The dining there is called Landscape Flavors. It's really hilarious because my youngest daughter requests to go here. When we're staying at the Riviera, she requests to take the Skyliner over to the Landscape of Flavors because it really does have a lot of options. It's a really great food court, I
Yeah, they
guess.
have some good offerings.
Yeah, they do. A lot of times, like they make your food to order, like right there in front of you. So it's very nice.
We love this pool. It's so big and it has like the water playing and it's big, huge, like Finding Nemo characters. And then there's like over by the Cars building, there's Cozy Cone little pool. And then I think there's a pool over by the Lion King side, isn't there?
It's the Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid.
I think the Little Mermaid has its own separate pool over there. And again, this is on the Skyliner. Very easy access to Epcot and Hollywood Studios.
I will say with the Skyliner, with Art of Animation, the line usually wraps up and around the Pop Century side, just every time we've experienced it. So be prepared. You're going to have to kind of wander into Pop Century to get in line, unless you were there very early or during a non-peak time.
But don't let the line like completely freak you out because it goes much quicker than it looks like it because it's constantly moving. So
100%.
It's not terrible. It's not as bad as it looks for sure. When you first walk up, it does look a little scary, but my parents, like I said, my parents stay at Pop Century and they use the Skyliner all the time and they talk about how fast the line goes. It looks like it's so long, but then it goes really quickly. One of the things that it does have, so obviously it has, like the others, it has the different recreational activities and, family fun things. It has the gift shop, and it has in the lobby area and throughout the hallway and just the decoration there, it's different murals and sculptures of the Disney animation. So I think it's really neat. It looks like almost like the sketches of the animated movies before they actually went into production.
Yes, it's very fun in there. All right. So now let's rank these. I will say like I said earlier, the price point is a little more for pop and art, but the ease of the Skyliner will win out for me every single time. If you are a 4-person family and can stay in a standard room, I think I would put Pop as my number one. I'm sorry. If you love Little Mermaid, you're just going to hike. So if you're going to stay in a 4-person room, just go to Pop.
Yeah, I would agree with you because it is a long walk to that side of the resort. It's super cute, and I mean, it's Little Mermaid. I mean, it's hard to top that theming, but from a logistics and convenience standpoint, it's a 10-15 minute walk to the buses at Art of Animation and to the Skyliner.
And I also feel like the Little Mermaid rooms are just a little bit tired compared to like the Nemo and the Car Suites. That might just be me. But if you are a family, I'm going to pick Art of Animation every single time. I've stayed at both of these and I love them both, but obviously for different reasons. When we stayed at Art of Animation, we had my in-laws with us and we all stayed in the same room, which was nice. Reese was still a baby, so we got away with 7 people in our room. It was tight, obviously,
Yeah.
but it was doable. And it was cheaper to do that than 2 separate rooms.
I think from a space standpoint, I think that the All-Star might have a little bit more space,
Yeah, it
but
has more of like a kind of like it's small, but it's a little more of a dedicated kitchen area.
yeah. And the way that the Art of Animation suites are set up, it has a pull-out couch that sleeps 2. That's like your living room area, so that part pulls out, and then it has a pull-down kind of Murphy bed type situation for the other bed that is the dining room table. It's like the dining room area of the room, and then, of course, you have the separate bedroom that has its own separate bed in there, but because of the way that the beds are set up in this way the space is used, I can see how the family suites at Art of Animation might be a little bit more snug, but I agree that you cannot top using the Skyliner. It's just so convenient. I believe the Lion King is the least expensive one
Mhm.
because of its position. It's still not crazy out of the way or anything, but the Cars suites are going to be I'm sorry, not the Cars. The Nemo suites are going to be
Nemo, yeah,
the
Nemo's preferred.
Yes, it's right at the pool. They're going to be the quickest to get to the Skyliner, the quickest to get to the lobby and get to transportation, all of those things. So just an FYI for that.
So all of these, your lobby and your main pool, and like with your lobby, you'll have like your food court. That's kind of like your in the middle central location of the resort. And then there are buildings like on the north south of each one, and they kind of just keep extending. When we say it, they're like farther away. That's what we mean. The preferred is right there in the middle
Yes.
with the pool. Yeah, I think I would have to rank music as my number 3 and my favorite of the All Stars just because of the family suites.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd put as for. Probably movies for the theming, but sports for the price. I know that's no help, but
Yeah. I think I'm kind of honestly right there with you. My favorite value resort for families is Art of Animation. I recommend it all the time. I always include it anytime I'm quoting families because of the theming and the pricing. And even though the suites do get into the same price range as some of the moderate resorts, it's a suite. It's not standard room like the moderate resort. So if you're looking for more space and being on the Skyliner, you just can't beat that. Pop Century, I would recommend this for, and I think you may have said the same thing. Basically, just like if it's just adults, a couple of adults going, or even if 4 adults going, you just want to go to Disney and stay at a value resort. I think that's the perfect spot for that. And then the suites at All Star and movies and sports. So yeah, I would rank exactly the same as you as far as the order for sure.
so I think the reason I don't love the All Stars as much is like Julie said that they're just so busy. You're not going to escape people. If you are wanting a quieter resort of the 5 that we talked about, hands down, Art of Animation.
Yeah,
So
especially the suites buildings are going to be.
yes, because Art of Animation and Pop Century, they are the same size. They're kind of a carbon copy of each other, like the buildings wise. But since there are so many suites, it is half the occupancy basically as Pop Century.
And the suites are on the inside of the building. So the door is on the inside instead of opening to the outside.
Yes,
Like,
so it is a little bit more quieter, especially like around the pool.
mhm.
If you're trying to take like an afternoon nap, if you're staying right at the pool, like at the All Stars, you can hear kids, family having fun at the pool. Like it's not like over the top loud, but they do play music and stuff at the pool. So you do hear.
Yeah. Not a good spot for you to bring your baby back and take a nap. Like
So
that.
obviously we all have a love for a value resort. Any hotel inside the bubble is better than outside the bubble. You guys know our opinion on like the transportation and how long it takes. And once you like factor in your parking and resort fees offsite, just stay on site. It's so much easier and more convenient.
Agree. Agree. I mean, if you're really looking at the, pinching pennies and looking at every single dollar you're spending, like that's that's exhausting. And it really, we've quoted tons of offsite versus onsite. And I can tell you that you're going to get the same or even less expensive with one of the value resorts.
So putting a list out there. Pop and arts are a clear tie 1-2. Music, good middle of the road. And then sport and movies would be a good, they're good, they're just not great.
I do think that the suites at art, at music, if you need that space and you need it at a better value, it is going to be, it's considerably less expensive than art of animation. And if you're okay with the bus situation and you're okay with it being a little bit more chaotic and money, budget is more important to you, then yeah, it's definitely a good option.
100%.
Any other last words?
I think that's it for today. If you guys would like to see like an exact quote for a time that you might have in mind, let us know. It's easy to send over some numbers, especially with like packages, and it's only $200 for a deposit with a package, and we can book through most of 2025.
Yep. Let's get you
And
a countdown. I mean,
yeah,
having a countdown is the best ever. We actually,
good for
speaking
your
of,
mental health.
both of us have countdowns coming up pretty quickly. So next week we'll probably talk a little bit more about Krystle's countdown. Hers is like, what is yours? Like 7 days or so?
2 weeks from today, I think.
Yeah. So we'll definitely be doing kind of a quick pre-trip report for Krystle coming up. And then I also have one coming up in October that I'm beginning to get even more excited about. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wanderlust and Wishes.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, the world is full of wonders waiting to be explored. Until next time, happy travels.
Bye for now.